Okay, everybody, Bloodboxing coming at you with another video, man. This is a video request to Jonathan Ben Israelite. I hope I said your name right, brother. But he wanted me to talk about Roger Mayweather, okay? Most of y'all know him as Uncle Rog, or Floyd Mayweather's uncle / trainer. But a few y'all don't know about the Black Mamba, though. So I thought it was an interesting request, and I definitely decided to make the video. Sorry I took so long on it, bro, but I wanted to put in a little bit of film footage and things like that and edit it a little bit, because when I was looking on YouTube, not too many people have tributes on Roger Mayweather. You were correct. In fact, I was looking around and there was a couple of people who have posted videos referring to him as Floyd Mayweather's father. So it just shows you how lost some of the people who post videos on here are. So let's talk Roger Mayweather. Originally from Grand Rapids, Michigan, he has an older brother that entered the fight game before he did, okay? I remember reading a magazine years ago in the 1980s when I was a kid about Roger, and there was mention of a big brother that fought Sugar Ray Leonard. Now, I didn't know who Floyd Sr. was at the time. I remember seeing Roger being featured on TV, okay? In fact, Roger was a regular on TV. I would see him fight all the time on TV. And he was also a regular in the boxing magazines of that time period. He also has a younger brother, Jeff Mayweather, that won a second-tier belt at super featherweight. There's no doubt about it that Roger Mayweather was the most successful out of the three Mayweather brothers, okay? But I would say that both Jeff and Floyd Sr. had solid careers. Floyd Sr. was building some momentum, knocking out mostly unknown fighters with losing records, and had ran into a 14-0 Marlon Starling. Now, I don't remember this fight. I didn't know who Marlon Starling was when this fight had occurred. I didn't know about these guys at that time, okay? Marlon Starling would go on to become one of the most dominant welterweights of the 1980s. And I'm going to feature Marlon Starling in my welterweight series when I get to the 1980s, okay? Don't forget to stay tuned to my welterweight series. In fact, I have another piece coming out, all right? We're getting ready to get back into that too. But now back to Mayweather. Roger had a very solid amateur career. He was 64-4 as an amateur, not so bad. He started out his career campaigning at lightweight, and in his 13th fight, he defeated Ruben Munoz Jr., okay? In this fight, he won the USBA lightweight title. Now, back in these days, having the USBA strap meant something. I can remember seeing champions, USBA champions in the 1980s. They would always get featured on TV. So having that USBA strap, it was like a TV champion or something. You guaranteed pretty much to be on TV, or the likelihood of you getting on TV increased based on the fact that you had that belt. Ruben Munoz Jr., 14-1, came into that fight appearing to be Mayweather's biggest test, even though I don't think he was, because when I looked at the rest of his record, within 2 years, after that fight with Mayweather, he was retired. He had like 6 losses in a row and got knocked out 5 of them or something. He just didn't, his career didn't pan out to be much of anything. But this is who Mayweather won the USBA lightweight crown from, okay? So he is a milestone in Mayweather's career. 2 fights after winning the USBA lightweight crown, Mayweather would fight for the WBA World Super Featherweight title, fighting Samuel Serrano in front of Serrano's home crowd in Puerto Rico. Who was Samuel Serrano? Well, he was the longtime reigning super featherweight champion that had been the super featherweight champion since 1976. Now, Serrano did have one setback during his reign before he ran into Mayweather, okay? In 1980, he was knocked out by Yususun Yahara, okay? Now, I might have said this man's name wrong. I probably butchered it, but there's only 2 videos on YouTube that feature Yahara, okay? And both of the commentaries are not in English, okay? So I tried to get the name right the best I could based on what they were saying. They were saying it so fast, but I gather I got it close to right. It's something like Yahara or something like that, okay? So anyway, Yahara had beat Serrano, all right? Then Serrano had got his title back the next year by outpointing Uehara. Nobody had even expected him to lose to Uehara because in 1980, this was the Ring Magazine Upset of the Year. But I still want to give you an idea of who Serrano was because I don't want to just throw a name out there at you and say, okay, well, you know, Roger Mayweather beat Serrano for the title and don't tell you who he is. I got to let you know who he is, all right? So he had pretty much been champ since 76 and he had that one loss and he avenged the one loss. Let's take it back to 76 because this was interesting too. And what I like about YouTube, man, is there's a lot of film out there. So when you start getting into the 1970s, you have a better chance to see some film footage. The later the date is, the higher chance of you getting to see the film footage, all right? But Serrano, he won the title in 76 by defeating Ben Villaflor, okay? Now, Ben Villaflor was this fighter from out of the Philippines that had moved to Hawaii, but he's one of the all-time great Filipino fighters, all right? He retired when he was only 23 years old. But even though he was only 23 years old, he had already fought over 60 times. He had fought 62 times, okay? Winning 56 of those fights. He only lost 6 fights. He was never knocked out, Ben Villaflor. In the first fight in 1976, him and Serrano fought to a draw. This fight would be in Hawaii, which was at this time now Villaflor's hometown. Now, he was from the Philippines, but he was fighting from out of Hawaii at this point. So he had the home crowd advantage. When he had the draw against Serrano, he actually had some guts. Ben Villaflor, he actually had guts, man. He went to Puerto Rico to fight Serrano. He would lose that fight, okay? Unanimous decision. Serrano will win. Villaflor will retire, all right? So I just wanted to give you an idea of what was there before Roger Mayweather got the belt. By the time Mayweather got to Serrano in the 1980s, Serrano was getting old, man. Mayweather fought him early in 1983, winning the WBA super featherweight title.
Serrano scores with the right hand, but it doesn't affect Mayweather. Referee Rodriguez. Good right hand. That hurt. That hurt him in trouble. Another right hand, following up with combinations. And luckily for the champion Serrano, the bell sounds before he had the opportunity to really get some. Works downstairs on the left, trying to get a bit of punch to him. This is where the experience of the champion shows. As Mayweather is tagged with a right hand and another right hand. Like I said earlier, Bob, Mayweather keep his left down, and you can't keep his left down because he's throwing everything he got. He's desperate now. You got to get out there and use his jab and do what he's been doing. Mayweather's in big trouble. His legs have gone rubbery. Who's got the biggest heart, Larry? This is what this is going to prove. Both guys have been hurt. Serrano's in trouble again now, Bob. Serrano's holding on. He's hurt. Mayweather caught him with a good punch. He shakes his head no, but he's hurt. He's hurt. He says he's not hurt. He says he's aware. No, he's hurt. He's desperate, Bob. He's throwing everything he got. He's home. I don't think he'll get up. I don't think he's going to be able to get up, Larry. The count's up to 3, and 4, and 5, and 6. They say no. 7, 8. That's against the rules. But the referee says no way. He's not going to continue. He finally calls it a TKO. They came out from Samuel Serrano's corner. They did not want him to get hurt, and the referee has stopped the fight. As soon as he straightened up, he got hit with a good right hand by Mayweather, and he went down and he hit his head on the campus, Bob, and that's when the corner ran in to stop the fight. Watch it again. Mayweather was throwing uppercuts, left hook. He was throwing everything, and Serrano was really down. But as soon as he straightened up, he got hit with the right hand. He just hit him flush, Larry, with that right on the butt.
Today, fighting him for the WBA title. So I'm really glad to be here, and I'm glad everybody came out, like Larry Holmes, and Tommy Hearns from around my hometown, and Milt McCoy, and my two sparring mates, Terry Silver and Jimmy Jackson, and everybody came out who really helped me to get ready for this fight. I had to lose 3/4 pound. I think that kind of made me set my pace a little different because I had to lose that half a pound, but it didn't really affect me that much because I knew he was an older fighter. I knew he been around for a long time, and he had a lot of mileage on his legs, and I knew he couldn't run for 15 rounds like he used to do in the early part of his career. So I kept pressing him and digging him to the body, and eventually he got a cut. So I think he was a little leery of the cut, so then I pretty much just started putting my attack together and making him miss punches as well as me throwing shots and countering back on his mistakes.
Well, Roger, they said coming to Puerto Rico, you had to take the fight away, and take the fight away you did. We're going to switch here to the replay of the knockout. You watch right here in this monitor right in front of us and describe it yourself, just what you're saying.
Well, right now, I know he leery at the right hand. He looking for the right hand. He lead with the right hand. He finna come back with a hook. I hit him with an uppercut, and pretty much just setting up my attack right there. See how he ducking and he lowering himself in the right hand right there.
That right hand was really devastating.
Right, that's usually my best weapon. So
He then defended it twice in 1983 by knocking out both of his opponents in his first two defenses. He even knocked out Benedicto Villablanca, who had won the title for a short period of time after his bout with the former champion Serrano a few years earlier. So this is an interesting story. I just wanted to go into this. This kind of goes away from the Mayweather thing just for a second, but it gives you an idea of who Benedicto Villablanca is. Now, I just told you about Sam Serrano, okay? Now, right before Serrano fought Mayweather, he also had a controversial fight with this guy, Benedicto Villablanca. You see, Serrano was champ. He was defending his title against Villablanca when Serrano picked up a cut in the 6th round. In round 11, the fight was stopped due to the cut, and they had ruled that the cut was caused by a punch. So Villablanca had become world champion and returned to his country of Chile as a national hero. In fact, Chile recognized him as their first world champion. Serrano and his team stated that the cut had occurred due to a headbutt. The WBA, they held some big meeting and ruled that the cut was actually caused by a headbutt. Because Serrano was ahead on the scorecards, the belt went back to Serrano. Villablanca had he was disappointed. Shit, he had to work his way back in to another title shot. I think what really earned him the shot against Roger Mayweather, because this had just happened like right before Roger Mayweather took the strap off of Serrano, okay? All this shit between Serrano and Villablanca, this happened right before Roger Mayweather got the strap, all right? So now Villablanca was getting another title shot, okay? This time he was facing Serrano's conqueror, the Black Mamba.
The crowd does not like it. The count goes up to 8. It's scored as a knockdown. At first I thought he was waving off that it was no knockdown, and then he continued the count. The count went up to the standing 8 count, and Villablanca will be charged against him by a knockdown. It will definitely take a point away on all the scorecards. Right hand scores by Mayweather. Once again, Mayweather trying to muscle Villablanca around. Fast-paced to round number 1 for this WBA World Junior Lightweight Championship. Real good right hand scored by Roger Mayweather. Another right hand. He's trying to set Villablanca up with left shots and then dropping the right hand. Him away from him, takes away the punching power of Benedicto Villablanca. Don't forget, both of these fellas defeated the former champ Sam Serrano. Good right hand scored again. Another good right hand. And a third and fourth right hand. He has him in trouble. Down goes Villablanca. The count now is up to 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't think he can get out. It's up to 7. And finally he does get up. Scrambles to his feet at 8. Don't forget the 3 knockdown rule. Here's an effect if he gets out. It's down. It's the 3rd time. The fight should be all over. It's the 3rd time he's down. The fight should be all over. It's the 3rd knockdown. 3rd knockdown. It should be all over. And that's it. The fight is over. A 1st round knockdown and knockout for Benedicto, going down 3 times. The fight should have been stopped immediately, but the referee continued the count and counted him out. Roger Mayweather, dramatic 1st round knockout winner here. We did not expect that. fight. We have the champ has moved in with us, and all I can say to Roger Mayweather is, Roger, you surprised us all.
Well, the guy was a rugged guy. I knew he was a comer, and I just wanted to take my time and set up everything. I knew we had a 15-round fight. It wasn't no sense of taking no unnecessary chances, and it was a matter of just, putting your punches together and setting things up. The day earlier, I had a little trouble making the weight. I think it has some effect that the way I trained this time and the way I ate my diet and everything. I started a little late, but I came out good. I felt strong in the fight, so it wasn't a matter of how weak I was or whatever. It was just a matter of putting my punches together and just taking time and, just taking one step at a time.
Well, at first when he came out, it looked like he was attacking you, and then something else that we noticed was that it looked like you were slipping a little bit on your new shoes. Were you slipping, in fact?
Just a little bit. I was standing a little too straight up because I didn't really get the leverage of how tall he actually was, so I didn't really get the actual leverage of how tall he was, so when I got in there, he was a little shorter than what I thought he was, because I'm generally taller than most guys, but he was a little shorter than I thought he was, so I just take my time, and after I figured him out somewhat, I put my punches together, and you seen what happened?
Well, yes, I did see what happened, but you haven't seen what happened, and we're going to show you now over here in the monitor, Roger. We're going to show you, the first one looked to me a little bit like a slip, and it was questionable, and the crowd booed at the time, even though the crowd is very much in your favor.
Right.
Let's take a look at it, Roger.
I can't say enough that's going to tell me how the fight went. All I'm looking forward is to the one big fight that I'm looking forward to, to clear up the junior lightweight division, and that's Hector Camacho. That's what I really want.
I know you do.
Yes, he wanted the Camacho fight. But the question is, could he get there without a setback? Roger Mayweather KO'd Villablanca in the first round, okay? The Black Mamba's third defense came in 1984 against Rocky Lockridge, okay? Lockridge was coming out of the featherweight division and had failed at his first world title shot the previous year. But Lockridge was coming to take that O from the Black Mamba. Lockridge would knock Roger out in the first round. Now, I can remember hearing that Roger was a little chinny back in the 1980s, but everybody knew that the Black Mamba was a very dangerous fighter, very skilled too. So he had a little setback, okay? He took his first loss. Right after he took that first L, he took his second L in his very next fight, losing a decision. So in 1984, he took 2 L's. But he was far from finished, though. He got right back on track, and in fact, in 1984, he ended out the year much better than he started the year, winning his last 2 fights of that year. But he was missing something at the end of 1984, though. That's right, he was no longer a champion. In 1985, he would challenge the undefeated Kenny Bazemore for the USBA super featherweight title. There was a lot of high expectations for Bazemore, who was being managed by Sugar Ray Leonard.
The slight reach advantage for Mayweather. Get the idea that Bazemore and Mayweather were not too interested in what the referee might have had to say. Holding behind the head. Holding behind the head, says the referee, Spider Bida, as we conclude the second round.
Because he was on the way out again. Bazemore too anxious to...
Right hand! And Bazemore landed hard on his forehead. That's the first knockdown of the bout. And that's it. It's all over. Roger Mayweather celebrating in the face of Kenny Bazemore as he has stopped Bazemore in round 3.
And it was that right hand that he had warmed up with and found pay dirt with in the first round. The over-anxiousness of Bazemore as he came running in to try to neutralize it caused his downfall because he got caught by the right hand.
Time 1:28. Round 3. Roger Mayweather on the comeback trail, stopping Kenny Bazemore. And we'll be back to talk with Mayweather.
He knocked Bazemore out in the third round, taking Bazemore's belt. Bazemore would go on to win the USBA featherweight title again a year later, and would even go off to defend it a few times before falling off heavy in the 1990s. This fight against Bazemore placed Roger in place to get a shot at a young Julio Cesar Chavez, who was at that time 44-0. he would challenge Chavez for his WBC World Super Featherweight title. Prime Chavez was a beast and he KO'd Mayweather. He knocked him out in the second round.
Now we're seeing some counter-punching by Chavez. He's coming over Mayweather's jab with the right hand.
All right, break.
When he does that, Ray, leaves himself wide open. I don't think he should be reaching with that right hand.
He's putting so much behind the kill.
Another big right hand by the challenger Mayweather.
And what set that up, Mayweather slid to his right beautifully. He just was hurt.
Yes, he is. Mayweather took 2 consecutive right hands on the champion Chavez just after he landed a big one of his own.
Mayweather has to move now. He's still on quit streak.
They ruled it a slip evidently. There was no count, and he's in difficulty.
That's because
Down he goes again. A short right hand from the champion Chavez. Still on rocky legs. Mayweather still in difficulty.
You okay? Well, Tim, if they didn't count the first one a knockdown,
Get back.
this is only the first knockdown of the round. That could be significant.
Chavez comes in with a right hand lead. Mayweather still in difficulty trying to tie him up.
No knockdown.
No, that was not a knockdown. And Richard Steele correctly ruled it. No
Mayweather,
knockdown.
he needs to tie his man up, Tim. He's still wobbling there.
Under a minute to go in round number 2. Mayweather's only been stopped once by Rocky Lockridge.
And you know what's happened now? Mayweather's starting to relive that fight with Rocky Lockridge in the first round.
Chavez pouring it on. He's got him again. A combination. Mayweather, no legs underneath him. And Richard Steele has stopped it. He has stopped it here in the second round. Julio Cesar Chavez.
Chavez didn't take Mayweather lightly, though, because Mayweather already was starting to get that rep for being the Mexican fighter's kryptonite. Anyways, after losing to Chavez, Mayweather had to move on. In 1986, he took another loss when he fought lightweight contender Freddie Pendleton. Pendleton, he was a regular on Tuesday night fights. You know, he had the fights with Bramble, the fights with Frankie Randall. He had even become a world champion and had several title shots. But Pendleton, he was more of a gatekeeper-like status, though. When he fought Mayweather, though, shit, he knocked Mayweather out in the 6th round.
Steele backs him up. He was caught up in the ropes. I don't know if Roger Mayweather can make it. Wow, is he wobbly. No way, it's an upset. Pendleton is going nuts. When he got caught up in the ropes, that of course was the problem. Richard Steele got in there, but not before. Freddie Pendleton had nailed Roger Mayweather with some good shots. Yeah, Freddie Pendleton is pumped up, and why not?
Mayweather had another setback, but he got right back into the swing of things, winning his next 3 fights in a row. And in 1987, he suffered another setback when he challenged the young, undefeated Pernell Whitaker for the NABF lightweight title. The NABF lightweight title was one of those belts that you always see on TV. That was another belt that held some weight back at that time period. I don't really hear much about the NABF. I'm sure, I don't know, I guess it's still around, but, you know, I knew who those champs were back in them days, though. You know, he put up a decent fight against Whitaker, who was already being perceived as perhaps the most skilled up-and-coming boxer in the world at that time.
Whitaker, unbeaten to this point in his career, but ready today to step up in class and face by far the most dangerous opponent he will have met so far, Roger Mayweather. Unless there be any doubt about hostilities between the two, we take a look back at this scene from last night's pre-fight physical examination. Whitaker, having just been examined by the doctor, prepared to step up from the chair and surrender it to Mayweather. Mayweather, stepping in from behind, began to talk to Whitaker, and in a few seconds, push came to shove as Whitaker lashed out with a shot to Mayweather's chest. Mayweather attempted to retaliate. The stage is set for this 12-round North American Boxing Federation lightweight bout between that man, Roger Mayweather, and Pernell Whitaker, live today from Norfolk, Virginia on ABC's Wide World of Sports. And perhaps he will rise to the challenge as both Lou Duba and good right hook, and he's down! Down goes Mayweather. And immediately you see Mayweather's Achilles heel. This is before the fight that the winner would be ready for a title fight. Is Whitaker ready for a title fight?
I think he's in line for a title fight. I think he could use some more seasoning. And the big question is, how is that left hand? We'll find that out at the end of this round. It's been a tremendous experience, learning experience for Purnell, and will go a long ways to proving to himself as well as to the rest of us that he has what it takes to be a world champion.
And he's giving it a rousing finish. That's it.
We're going to get into Whitaker some more in this channel, especially in my welterweight series. Whitaker will be featured. So Whitaker wins a unanimous decision. Mayweather has another setback. Mayweather continues to move on. He's now campaigning as super lightweight, okay? And after the Whitaker loss, just 2 fights later in the same year, 1987, he would finally win another belt by defeating Rene Arredondo. Arredondo, he had won the title a year earlier, being the only man ever to KO Lonnie Smith. Mayweather would stop Arredondo in the 6th round. Mayweather was now on a winning streak and will win his next 5 fights in a row, with 4 of those 5 fights counting as defenses. He even sported defenses over Harold Brazier and Vinny Pazienza. The Brazier fight was very close, but he got the W. The year was now 1989, and Mayweather was high on life, being the WBC World Super Lightweight Champion. He had some defenses. He's the world champ. Things are looking good. There's just one problem. 4 years earlier, he was knocked out in the 2nd round by the WBC World Super Featherweight Champion, Julio Cesar Chavez, who at that time was 44-0. It was now 4 years later, and Chavez, he had already made his mark at super featherweight. He was currently now the lightweight champ, who had both the WBC and the WBA lightweight titles. Do not, and I repeat, do not mix this guy up with his son. Junior took after his mother because his father was cut from a whole different cloth, okay? He is nothing like his father was, nothing. Like I said, Chavez had KO'd Mayweather 4 years earlier as an undefeated 44-0 super featherweight champ. Well, shit, he was still undefeated. Now he was 62-0 and moving up to conquer another division. By this stage, Mayweather was on a hot streak and fans were calling him the Mexican assassin. Well, Chavez, shit, he was in his prime. He got in there with Roger and he started putting that heat on Roger again. He ended up stopping Roger in the 10th round this time. Roger had to move on. Chavez took the belt from him. This would also conclude the 1980s for Roger Mayweather, okay? So shit, the 1980s, not a bad decade. He became a 2-time world champion. He started the 1990s off with a bang. He won 6 fights in a row and would earn himself a shot at the vacant IBF super lightweight title. He would fight Rafael Pineda. Now, Pineda was a solid young fighter at that time. Pineda had failed at his first world title shot 2 years earlier when he challenged Mark Breland for the welterweight title. Breland stopped Pineda, okay? Pineda would stop the Black Mamba in 9 rounds and win the vacant IBF World Super Lightweight title. 8 months later, Pineda would lose that title to the slick Pernell Whitaker. Mayweather had to move on with his career. By 1991, Mayweather was 30 years old, but it appeared as though his best days were already pretty much behind him. Over the next few years, between the early to mid-1990s, he took a few more L's, losing some decisions. They were close decisions he was losing, such as the loss to Darrell Tyson. In the mid-1990s, he went back on a little winning streak, winning the IBO Super Lightweight title. In 1995, he got another shot at one of the major belts when he faced the young, undefeated power puncher Costa Tszyu. He would fight Costa Tszyu for Costa Tszyu's IBF World Super Lightweight title. He'd lose a decision in that one. In fact, towards the end of his career, he didn't go out badly or nothing. He was losing some decisions, but he was staying active in the mid to late 90s. In 1997, he even won another small belt by knocking out Carlos Miranda. He fought 2 more times after that, winning both fights, and then he retired, okay? Now, his focus had started to go into a different direction around the mid-90s anyways, as he started to focus on his nephew, Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather Jr. was a promising young fighter coming fresh off the 1996 Olympics, okay? Roger Mayweather had already started training Floyd Mayweather and was still fighting as an active fighter himself, okay? So he's fighting as an active fighter, but yet he's training Floyd Mayweather. But if you look at his resume, you will see that he became less active towards the end of his career. He didn't take as many fights. He was focusing more on Floyd at this time. Floyd's dad came back and took over training for some of the time. Floyd got rid of his dad and brought Roger back. So not all of these stories end on a sad note. In fact, Roger went on to be able to earn income being Floyd Mayweather's uncle and stuff. And with Floyd Mayweather being the big new star of the millennium, came around at a very good time, Roger Mayweather was able to continue to eat. So at the end of his career, he came off of winning a small world title, not a major one, but he was winning, and he actually won a few fights, and he went on to train Floyd Mayweather. So it seems to me that Roger Mayweather is a winner. He had a great career, and he continues to live a good life. And this is my video to Roger Mayweather. Y'all take it easy. Stay tuned to the welterweight series. I am returning. I will be continuing to talk about the 1950s as of right now. We're going to dissect the champion from that time period's complete reign pretty much at welterweight, just to see how a welterweight champion back then was different from one of the title holders from today, okay? As for the requests, I'd like to thank the brother who made the request for this video. I am taking more requests at this time. I would like to do some different videos. I'm just asking that the people who make the request try to do something outside of the welterweight division, because I'm going to be covering the welterweight division all the way until now. It's going to take a while, but I'm going to get back on this welterweight series. So try to ask me about a different division or a fighter who fought from out of a different division other than the welterweight division, or whatever other requests you have in regards to the history of boxing, okay? Anyways, I'll see you guys later, man. Talk to you soon. Bye.